Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, the World of Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the 1390 Defender, the Kanonenjagdpanzer, and the Tier 10 Russian Collector that will hopefully be coming into the game very shortly, the Object 260. Now, all of these tanks we haven't really had the stats on, at least the base stats on, until today, because Blitzhanger has posted all of the statistics. So I'm going to be doing a full rundown on my personal opinions of how these vehicles are going to play with the statistics shown ahead. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below as well. But let's get in, first of all, to the AMX 1390 Defender, the vehicle that will most likely be coming within the next 2 weeks or so. It will definitely be coming in this update of Blitz, which is pretty dang cool. So let's get into the 1390 Defender to start off with. Now, I will say the tank looks great. If you've seen what it looks like, it looks really, really nice. And as you all know, I'm a very big person on aesthetics. That's why I love my WZ-111-5A. So the AMX 1390 Defender is definitely a big reason why I like playing the tank, or I will like playing it when it will come out. So it's got 1,250 hit points, which is just about the same as your average Tier 8 light tank. It's got good view range at 296 meters. It'll definitely be spotting people without getting detected itself, because if we take a look at the concealment, it's fantastic. In fact, the best concealment by far in Tier 8 for light tanks, which makes this thing a beast at zipping around the map with concealment. It's going to have a good gun as well. 2,170 damage per minute is just about the same as the AMX 1390, but one thing that isn't the same is the standard penetration, sitting at 205 millimeters. That means that you're easily going to be cutting through pretty much any frontal armor. If you watched my AMX 1390 video where I pulled off that crazy game, I had to shoot HE at the final tank, the IS-3. You would have not had that issue with this tank, because of course this thing has got 205 millimeters of standard pen, and the premium, oh mama, 258 millimeters, and of course I'd be running calibrated, so it's going all the way up to 271 on the premium, although HE only 40 millimeters. And you'll notice that this tank is only dealing 160 average damage. Yeah, not necessarily the best on average damage. I don't know why it's called the AMX 1390 Defender when it carries a 75 millimeter. Wargaming, get your facts straight, but it's got 160 damage, it's got 4 shells, and that gives it a total burst damage of 640 damage, and it takes 1.67 seconds to get all the shells out, so it takes exactly 5 seconds for all the shells to get out of the clip with the 3 shells of the 1.67 incher clip. So, a lot of numbers there, but pretty much it's going to take you 5 seconds to deal 640 damage with this vehicle. Pretty good. It's just about the same as the 1390. The 1390 can deal 675 damage in 5 seconds, where this tank can deal that amount of damage in, well, actually 640. So pretty much the same damage, it's just a different way of getting it out. So aiming time is good, 1.68 seconds, pretty dang good. The dispersion as well is pretty dang good at 0.319, way better than the AMX 1390. Here's where we come into some issues though. The on-movement dispersion is way worse than your average light tank. In fact, 0.13, and 0.1 is worse than the 1390 now after they've buffed it, which is definitely not good. The aftershot dispersion though is very good, because of course it's an autoloader with a very quick reload in between each shell, so you need a quick aiming time after shot. So we're going to have to see how the dispersion is, of course, when it does come out, because it's got good aiming time. It's just that the dispersion really doesn't seem fantastic on the move. Only 6 degrees of gun depression, just like the normal AMX 1390, and only 10 degrees of gun elevation, so that's a big issue. If this thing had like 8 degrees of gun depression, oh, you can bet this thing would be extremely strong. Good turret traverse speed at 57 degrees a second. It only weighs 14 tons, so with that, you got a good top speed of 65. Not the fastest. Of course, the T49 can go like 72. The RU251 can go 80, but it is a pretty good top speed, and the reverse speed of 23 also not too bad. It's got a decent power to weight ratio of 33.19. Ignore it looking like it's really bad. 33 is a pretty solid power to weight. It will be very, very nippy. The only issue is it will have a little bit worse acceleration, but oh my god, is that camo going to make this thing fantastic. Imagine a mobile RHM. It's going to be so good on the camo. Yeah, we're going to have to see how this thing is. If you're putting all of your camo stuff, like if you put camo net on this thing, it's going to have 44% camo while still, and on the move, it's going to have 39%, which is actually ridiculous if you think about it. Really strong camo. So yeah, we're going to have to see how this tank is when it does come out, but let's get into the next one. Now, for my personal opinion, I don't think that the AMX 1390 Defender is going to be anything special. I think it's going to be a fun tank, but I don't think it's it's going to be overpowered. So if it does end up coming out in crates, or depending on how much money it will be, I'd say the max I'd be willing to spend for the first time this tank comes out is about $50 US in gold or whatever it is, because that's what they normally come out for. If it comes out for anything more than $50, don't even think about getting your hands on it. And even $50 is a very expensive price tag. I just say that because that's usually what Wargaming does when they release a new tank into the game. So moving on now to the Kanonenjagdpanzer. I don't know when this vehicle will be coming into the game. I have no clue whatsoever because it hasn't even been tested yet. And unless Wargaming's not going to test it, which I have a feeling they will test it, we're going to have to find out. But this vehicle, as you can see by the looks of it, is a E25. In fact, the Kanonenjagdpanzer is built off of the chassis of an RU-251, which is pretty cool. That makes it extremely fast, you can guess. So it's got great view range at 277.2 meters. That's good for a tank destroyer because, of course, you want to be able to spot the opponents if you're trying to snipe them, and that's something that's really nice about this vehicle. Good DPM, in fact, not good DPM, fantastic damage per minute, sitting at 3,464. That is by far some of the best DPM at Tier 8 tank destroyers and just Tier 8 in general. And with the 255 millimeters of standard pen, and wait until you see the 300 millimeters of premium pen. Yeah, this thing's going to be cutting through armor like no problem whatsoever. HE damage is 400, giving it just shy of 4,000 DPM. Yeah, this tank is pretty dang good looking. Now, this is called the Kanonenjagdpanzer 105 because, of course, it carries a 105 millimeter gun. So pretty good stuff going there. Fantastic shell velocity at 1,478. That's, in fact, I think the best shell velocity at Tier 8 when I've been looking around. The only vehicles that have like 1,500 are Tier 10 medium tanks like the 62A, the Leopard 1, the Object 140. So this tank has got fantastic shell velocity, and it doesn't really lose much penetration over distance. Gun handling, fantastic aiming time at 1.54 seconds. Dispersion at 0.29 is fantastic as well. Dispersion factors on the move, great, fantastic. When rotating turret, well, it doesn't really have a turret, but it's still very, very good what it is when you move the gun. So overall, you can see the values for this gun are through the roof. The gun depression, 8 degrees. It's going to make it very flexible. 15 degrees of gun elevation. Don't know how they're moving that gun so much in such a weird chassis, but I'll give the Germans credit. It's a fantastic looking vehicle for the gun, the DPM, everything like that. And you might think it's slow. Well, it weighs 26 tons, and it's got a great power to weight ratio, actually, 26.44, the best for Tier 8 tank destroyers as well. It's able to go 55 forwards. Again, fantastic, 20 in reverse. Now, this tank was originally projected to go 72, which is, a little crazy, to say none the least. But it's now down to 55, but still very quick. It's got fantastic traverse speed at 55.89 degrees a second. And oh my god, look at that concealment. 45% while sitting still. That means that if we put on our good old trusty camo net, that is 60% concealment sitting still. What the absolute heck? You could sit still in a bush, and pretty much the enemy would have to be about 200 meters to 150 meters away, depending on how good their view range is, to actually spot you. Yeah, pretty dang good. So I'm very, very excited to see how this vehicle is going to work. But yeah, we'll find out. We will find out when it does come out. And I think that this, again, is going to be a very strong tank. I don't think it's going to be overpowered because there's big issues with it. The first one is, of course, the lack of armor. It's based off of an RU-251 hull. And in fact, if I show you the armor really quick, both, by the way, the AMX 1390 also has absolutely no armor because, of course, it is a light tank. But if we take a look if they have the armor, well, actually, we can just click on it here. This is not armor. Like, you can see 100 millimeters on the upper plate, yeah, 70 on the sides, 36 on the rear. It really doesn't have any armor. So you're going to be hit every time, and every time. 3 shells from any 120 millimeter are going to kill this tank. So it's definitely going to be a really tricky tank to run, in my personal opinion. But finally, let's move on to the Object 260, the vehicle that's been on my desktop background as a cool animated wallpaper for the past 3 years now, and a tank I've been wanting Wargaming to add as a clan reward vehicle for a long time. Now, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to sell it flat out in crates, but we're going to have to find out. Wargaming, please, please, please don't do that. So, moving on to the Object 260, I've been looking at the stats of this vehicle, and if they don't nerf it by the time it comes out, we've got some serious problems, because, does this tank got some stupid values going for it. So, first of all, the Object 260 has got, not really good hit points. It's only at 2,400, so if you're running the hit point buff, you're going to be sitting at 2,544. Not the most, worse than the IS-7, and that's what this tank's kind of similar to, is an IS-7. It's got decent view range, 282.5 meters, but this is where the values kind of get stupid. Why? does a Russian-type heavy tank have about 3,000 base damage per minute if you're running Rammer. If you're running Cali, it's still just about 2,800 DPM, which is very solid. When you compare that to a vehicle, let's say like the IS-4, if we go open up the IS-4 in a second window, this is 2,600 DPM. That's a 300 difference. That's massive. I actually can't make up any excuses. I don't know why it's got such a good DPM. So you'll see that the penetration is pretty good. It's 260 on the standard, and it's got heat, which means that the premium at 312, if you're running Cali, which I would suggest, it's going to go up to 343, most likely enough to cut through most frontal armor. I'd have to say easy penetration to the IS-4, IS-7, so I wouldn't worry too much about the premium pen. It's just that DPM is going to be insane. So good stuff going for the tank over there. Shell velocity, very good, 1,259. Again, makes the IS-4 seem bad with shell velocity. It's got good rate of fire as well, as it's only dealing 420 damage per shot. That gives it an 8.42 second reload, just about a second and a half faster than the IS-4. Good gun handling. It's got 2.08 seconds base aiming time, which isn't too bad, but dispersion 0.308. Again, why does it have such good dispersion? The IS-4's is 0.344 dispersion. This is 0.308. Dispersion factors while moving, good. Dispersion factors when rotating, good. Dispersion factors when rotating the turret are the best for a tier 10 heavy, and aftershot as well are very, very good. Like, why? I don't understand why you give a tank like the Object 260 such a good gun, so much DPM, and good aiming time. 6 degrees of gun depression, that I will say isn't the best. And the gun elevation at 15 degrees, yeah, it's workable, but as well, it's not the most flexible tank on ridgelines. But 6 is definitely workable in most scenarios. The turret traverse speed, very slow at 31.59, but it'll get the job done. And here we go to speed, 47 forwards, pretty dang quick, 20 in reverse, ridiculously quick. Effective power to weight ratio is fantastic at 15.7, at least for a tier 10 heavy, and the traverse speed as well is very good at 36.45. So this vehicle is going to be very, very good. Now it does have bad concealment at 12%, but doesn't really matter when you've got such good armor going for you here. If we take a look at the armor, you'll see that just on flat ground, it's about 300 millimeters on the upper plate, meaning that you're going to have to load premium if you want to penetrate this thing. If it's using gun depression, well, good luck getting through that, because that is, 360 millimeters, and that's with AP, which means that with heat, even going to be tougher to penetrate. So yeah, very tricky to penetrate there. You can see the turret is, funny, yeah, 400, 500 millimeters. You can penetrate this cheek, though. That's going to be the biggest weak spot, I'm going to have to say, is the turret cheek. Only about 268 here. Yeah, that's where you're really going to want to shoot at, right at that turret cheek. It's not super hard to pen, so we're going to have to see just how strong it is, but to be honest, it seems ridiculous. Like, you can see the edge here, 400 millimeters. This whole bit of spaced armor, even fully sight on, is about, I would say, 180. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how this tank is when it does come out into the game. But let me know what you guys think. I definitely think currently that it's too overpowered. The way that it has 2,900 DPM, too good of aiming time, great mobility. There's really no downside to this vehicle apart from, I guess, the turret cheeks. So we're gonna have to see how it is. But hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like it, keep up to date on the new news and information coming into Blitz, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and to be seeing you in the next one.